Jamahal Hill just embarrassed himself badly. Like, I don't think anybody thought it could get this bad because Jamahal just tried to confront Alex Pereira and it just ultimately failed.
Not on Twitter now.
Kind of went to a whole fake ass like, oh yeah, come get the gloves and go in the cage, which I replied, what the fuck we need gloves for? We not getting paid right now.
Jamahal has been having constant back and forth with Alex Pereira since he lost at UFC 300 by vicious knockout. And we've been slowly seeing the deterioration of Jamahal Hill, right? He's just been on a constant downfall, just reaching rock bottom. From constant social media posts to yawning at UFC 303 to accusing Alex Pereira of cheating because apparently Alex Pereira had an advantage because Jamahal Hill kicked Alex Pereira in the cup. I'm still confused by this, honestly. It all started when Jamahal Hill started beefing with Yuri Prochazka, literally because he was just trying to decide who lost to Alex Pereira worse.
So we had the same opponent last fight. Your last performance, you got dominated. I got caught. You got dominated. It's a huge difference.
Then Alex Pereira retweeted it saying like, oh, how his sons are fighting, basically calling himself the dad because he beat both of them, which all led to the epic showdown at the UFC PI that took place because, yeah, Jamahal Hill, I guess, just decided to confront Alex Pereira. I don't know why you would think this is a good idea, seeing the last time he tried to fight Alex. But Jamahal enters the room, right, and immediately goes to Alex and says, we're not on Twitter now.
Not on Twitter now.
Which I just think is hilarious, seeing that Jamahal Hill was mostly the one talking on social media. And the last time that he saw Alex Pereira in the PI after talking shit on social media, he literally was shaking their hand and didn't seem to want to have any problems. So I just think for Jamahal to say this, it's extremely hypocritical. They exchange words and it cuts to Alex Pereira throwing gloves at Jamahal Hill, basically saying, yeah, let's go find the octagon right now. Like, let's have a spar. Jamahal throws the gloves down and says like, oh, we're fighting for free, you know, questioning it, basically saying he's not down. And then Jamahal gets into the face of Alex Pereira, and it seems like these two are having a heated exchange. I think Jamahal is saying, like, I dare you, which I don't get, seeing that they've already fought once. Like, why would Alex Pereira be afraid of this? Seeing that last time they fought, Alex Pereira won pretty easily. Then credit to Polino, Alex Pereira's coach. He broke it up, saying, hey, guys, let's basically just try to defuse the situation, saying, hey, we're going to fight for money. Basically saying, yeah, let's just leave it to when we have a rematch eventually. Like, let's make money. Let's actually get some profit off of this. Let's not fight for free. And as much as I'm sure everybody would have loved to see a free fight, you know, taking place at the PI, it makes the most sense, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like, both these guys, not only are they losing out on money, but potentially they could be losing out on health. Like, you know, Jamahal Hill has a fight coming up next month. If he gets brutally knocked out, I don't think that fight is happening. And if he suffers another brutal knockout, who knows what would happen to his career? I mean, he might totally lose his chin. But Alex here, you can see he's still trying to get in the cage. He's still pointing, saying, hey, let's go fight. Let's go fight. And Jamahal just looks unbelievably mad here. And I think it's because Jamahal Hill, I think, expected this big confrontation where maybe he looked like the tough guy. I don't think he really expected for Alex Pereira to say, hey, look, we could just fight right here in this octagon, right? It didn't seem like he expected that at all, so he just looks mad because I think he knows at this point, like, yeah, he looked like he got clowned big time. I mean, we're even seeing other angles of this. A lot of people were there filming, and Jamahal Hill released a podcast responding to the whole situation, and he explains a little bit of his side, so let's react a little bit. Here's what Jamahal Hill had to say.
So I was at the PI earlier, and Alex was there. You know, I just finished working out. He was working out, and to go up and have a conversation. You know, ask him what we doing. Since we don't have to talk about it across Twitter.
So for Jamahal to act like he was just going up to Alex Pereira just to have a conversation, like, let's roll the tape back.
Not on Twitter now.
Like, that was 1,000% aggressive. He said, we're not on Twitter now, walked up to Alex Pereira, was definitely trying to do something, was definitely trying to be a tough guy, but I think he's playing it down because of how ridiculous he looked in the aftermath, because, yeah, Pereira was totally with fighting Jamahal Hill right then and there. Look, I don't know about you guys, but when I want to have a conversation, I don't say something as ambiguous as, we're not on Twitter now, just trying to be a tough guy.
He said something to his translator, said, like, oh, he said, you still asleep or you still woke up and shit. Then it kind of went to a whole, like, fake ass like, oh yeah, come get the gloves and go in the cage, which I replied, what the fuck we need gloves for? We not getting paid right now. We could throw hands right now. You know what I mean? I'm not finna take time, put no gloves on and none of that shit. We can just throw hands right now.
This is like an excuse you'd hear in like middle school. Like, what the hell is this? You don't want to take time to put on gloves? And he says two conflicting statements because seconds later he says this.
We don't need no gloves. We don't need no gloves. The fuck we need gloves for? We got hands right here. And his response was just to stand there. Here's the thing, right? I'd have just reached over and hit him there and we started fighting right there. I could possibly lose out on the fight, on my next fight, and any opportunities I have left.
So 1 minute Jamahal is saying, look, he was totally down down to fight Alex Pereira, and Pereira's the one that backed out because Pereira didn't want to fight with no gloves. And then the next moment, he's saying he wouldn't fight Pereira because it would just mess up his opportunities and he wants money, right? So we see two conflicting statements here because, let's be honest, this was clearly Jamahal Hill going up to him being a tough guy. And let me just say for the record, I agree with Jamahal Hill. Like, it would have been extremely dumb to fight in the PI. It would have fucked up Jamal's career and also would have fucked up Pereira's career too in a certain way. And I have no problem if, you know, Jamahal is someone that just doesn't want to get into street fights, or anybody for that matter, but you can't go up being a tough guy and then all of a sudden when you're confronted, number one, make up stories like the guy you're pressing is the one that's being a pussy. But secondly, if you're gonna come up to somebody with that energy, expect that same energy back, and you have to take full accountability for that. You don't get it both ways. You don't get to be the tough guy but also not get into the fight. And I know this situation might be so confusing, but in the wise words of Jamahal Hill,
people gonna say what they gonna say. They gonna sound dumb like they always do.
But Jamahal Hill has just been so sensitive. I mean, he's really been going after commentators like Michael Bisping, as I talked about in my last video. But my question is this just Jamal's gimmick? Like, is this just him trying to play it up, trying to get a conversation going so we're talking about him? Or is he actually this dumb? Like, I don't know. I think it's kind of a mix of both, honestly, because yeah, like, Jamahal just makes himself look worse and worse every day. But let's get into some MMA current events before we wrap things up. There's a big update in the Conor McGregor lawsuit situation. I have made countless videos on this already, so go check it out if you guys are confused about the situation. But obviously McGregor was accused of sexual assault of Nikita Hand, was found liable in court, and we were debating if McGregor would have to pay the legal fees of Nikita Hand, and has now announced that yes, he will have to pay the legal fees, an estimated $1.5 million. The judge also is going to take a couple weeks to deliberate to decide if he is going to fine Conor McGregor for some of his antics outside of court. Of course, we're talking about the long, unhinged tweet that he let out just talking about the court, talking about Nikita Hand and everything about the case. We are also debating if James Lawrence would have to pay the legal fees to Nikita Hand, seeing James Lawrence was found not liable. He does not have to pay Nikita Hand's legal fees, but he has to pay his own. This is because it was argued that James Lawrence made up the whole story that he had sex with Nikita Hand just to cover for Conor McGregor, just to make her look bad. So I'll update you guys in a couple weeks when we find out if McGregor is going to get fined even more. In other news, UFC 311 press conference is going down today. Yes, later today there's going to be a press conference for the new fights that got announced with the main and co-main event. And yeah, I think this is a great idea. I always say the UFC needs to do early press conferences more. It creates hype. So yeah, I'm really excited for this, especially with the bad blood between Merab and Umar. Also, another UFC 311 fight got announced. Renato Moicano is going to take on Beneil Dariush in a matchup that seems like the veteran going up against a young up-and-comer. So let's pray for Beneil Dariush here. Jan Blachowicz hints at a return on social media, posting on Twitter, you know, a bunch of emojis, seemingly saying he has a contract signed. You know, Jan Blachowicz hasn't fought since he lost to Alex Pereira in that very close fight, and he has been injured for a long time. He is getting up there in age, so I am curious to see what happens to him next. Gregory Rodrigues versus Cannonier. It seems like it's in the work for a card in February. I posted about it on my Twitter, and interestingly enough, RoboCop actually liked my tweet, which kind of tells me that, yeah, it's more than likely that this fight is happening, or at least there is a lot of truth to this. Jake Paul is now in the undisputed boxing game. This is a game that came out a couple months ago that honestly I stopped playing after like a week because I just thought there were so many poor game mechanics in the game. Many fans were praising Jake Paul, saying that this just proves KSI is the B-side, but then it turned out that KSI actually did deny being in this game because apparently there's going to be some Misfits game that's going to come out. I bet you guys that'll never come out, but hey, I mean, that's just my prediction. We'll see if they prove me wrong. But I'm going to finish this off by talking about the UFC 310 press conference. It happened yesterday, right? And I want to just do a little quick recap. Kai Asakura is going to fight Alexander Pantoja. I did a live stream yesterday. It's still up on the channel. It's like a 90-minute video of me breaking down each fight and talking about some of the betting tips. You guys could follow along, so go watch that. But we saw Kai Asakura speaking English, and I think there's a potential that this guy could be a star, especially if he wins this weekend. Asakura said that Pantoja's fight style is boring, right? And he criticized it, and also said that he's gonna knock out Pantoja.
He's a great. In my opinion, his fight style is no good. You know, you should more promotion. I promise everyone, I will beat him by knockout.
Now look, I'm not gonna say that Pantoja is boring because he has had pretty entertaining fights before. Look at the fight with Brandon Moreno. But lately, yeah, his fights haven't exactly been the best. I mean, the Steve Usyk fight wasn't all that entertaining. The Brandon Royval rematch was not so entertaining. There's a little bit of truth there, honestly. But Ian Gary was also at the press conference, and I want you guys to take a listen at his voice because it does sound a little bit weird.
Undefeated in UFC history. Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa fought. They were 32-0.
But yeah, it might sound like he's sick, but personally, I think he's probably just dehydrated here. Ian Gary also called out Colby Covington, saying he would be down to fight Shavkat, and if he finished Shavkat early, to go to Florida next weekend and fight Colby.
Colby Covington's afraid of me. My dream scenario, I finish Shavkat early, come out unscathed, walk my ass down to Florida, put that man in the octagon with me and see what happens. I would dog walk him for 25 minutes and make it the worst night of his life. I promise you that now.
I said this on the live stream yesterday, guys, but at the end of the day, I know Ian Gary gets a ton of hate, and for a lot of good reasons, right? Like, there's a lot of reasons not to like Ian Gary, and even if you want to ignore the cuck stuff, like, I don't even care about that. But you got to admit, like, this guy does have balls. Like, this guy is willing to fight anybody. Like, he doesn't care. I genuinely believe him when he says he would be down to fight Colby next weekend. But yeah, then we saw Ian Gary and Shavkat Rakhmonov. They had a very kind of weird face-off. I don't know what Shavkat was doing. Pantoja and Asakura also faced off, and I don't know what this guy in the crowd was saying, but this was pretty crazy. And yeah, that was the press conference, guys. You know, we are 1 day away now from UFC 310. There will be a video on Sunday breaking down the card. So tune in for that. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. It helps with the channel. Also, like the video and share. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.